I want to get a couple of things off the table. We've been going round and round here, just plowing the same field over and over again. So let's get a couple of things off the table. First of all, the lease option. Ms. Grover, you said that it's not feasible, it's overly expensive and not available. Please expand on that, and then Admiral Michel, if you'll deal with this. Is it viable? Is it not viable? Yes, no. Let's dispose of this issue.
So technically, it's feasible. The Coast Guard is required to use public vessels for some of their missions. And so that means either they have to outright own the vessel or they can operate it under a demise lease, right?
That.
Okay, so then the question is, can they do that more cheaply than buying it outright? And generally speaking, I would expect that purchase would be less expensive because when you figure in the profit for the ship owner and the higher borrowing costs for the private sector than the federal government.
So your answer is leasing is more expensive.
So leasing is generally...
Is there a lease, is there a ship available in the near term, that is in the next 3 years, available for leasing?
The Coast Guard believes there is not, and I don't have any reason to believe differently.
Admiral Michel.
Well, sir, as far as heavy icebreaking capability, there is no vessel available for lease to provide heavy icebreaking capability. There are vessels on the global market that have the characteristics of a medium icebreaker, but the Coast Guard has not yet found one of those vessels that is suitable for military service without substantial refit.
So the answer is leasing doesn't make any sense. Is that correct?
Not in the current scheme of things, sir.
Grover, is that correct?
Generally speaking,
Are
purchase
any of
is
the
the way to
witnesses
go.
disagreeing with that assessment, that leasing is not an acceptable option? All right. Enough of leasing. Now, we have a gap. How can that gap be filled? Admiral?
Well, so the current plan is, on the heavy side, is to either reactivate the Polar Sea.
Okay, July 24th, you're going to give us an assessment of whether that's viable or not.
We are, sir, and I will flag to you that having talked with my folks who took a look at that vessel, that is going to be a substantial endeavor, much harder to do than the Polar Star for a number of different reasons, and we never really fully appreciated that until we had the vessel out of the water, as you know, which became available because of Congress's appropriation. Then we're going to have to take a look at a rolling recapitalization of the Polar Star is essentially what the other alternative is until we can bridge out. We're also going to figure out Healy, which is going to have to be synced up with that, and we've got some ideas on how we're going to slep Healy and do that in segments so that we can keep that vessel online to the maximum extent possible.
So you really have no plan to deal with the gap?
Sir, the Coast Guard's requirements set forth in the high latitude study are for 3 heavies and 3 medium icebreakers. Currently,
That's your 3x3 strategy.
That is what is required to meet Coast Guard missions or fulfill Coast Guard missions. It's 3 heavies and 3 mediums.
Okay. So really,
and I've described to you essentially what our plan is, including the need for the construction of the new heavy polar icebreaker. That's integral because we're only going to be able to keep Polar Sea and Polar Star under any circumstances online for just enough to reach out to that new breaker, sir.
So I just heard you say one's not enough. We're going to need at least 2 heavy icebreakers to fulfill the mission.
The Commandant has testified that we need at least 2 heavy polar icebreakers for self-rescue capabilities, and the President's
statement... That then takes us to the block buy, doesn't it?
Sir, that is actually one of the things that, and we're going to work with the Navy on that and employ some of their expertise as to whether that makes sense. That is going to require congressional action because we do not have authority to do that. We're also going to have to take a look at that arrayed against the budget requests and the actions of the Congress.
I don't want to play ping pong back and forth between the Coast Guard and Congress. You're quite correct. We're going to have to make a decision. Are we going to commit the United States and our budget and appropriations to address the real need in the Arctic? Now, icebreakers are but one. In 19 seconds, I'm going to raise the other 4 issues. Communications. We've not talked about communications much, but it's not worthwhile to have a ship up there that you can't communicate with. Domain awareness. We haven't talked about that, but that's another issue. Infrastructure, which has been discussed. Army Corps of Engineers, where are you with a deep water plan? Have you even thought about it? If so, where and how much? Ice breaking, we've gone around that enough times to circle the earth several times. And finally, your training program. These are the 5 critical issues that have to be addressed if, in fact, we're going to have any activity and any American presence in the Arctic. Ice breaking, Admiral, we need very specific information from you, and we need it right away, because we're going to have to pass a law here and the appropriations, or at least the budget to go with it. Communications, not spent time on that. We need that information. What kind of communication equipment, what kind of appropriations and monies necessary for the appropriate communications. Domain awareness, probably pretty much the same issue. Okay, you know what I need, Admiral. When are you going to deliver it?
Well, sir, the icebreaker is a critical part of that because that is a mobile platform.
No more on the icebreaker. We've gone around that game too many times.
Sir, well, I think you're missing the point here, sir. That type of a mobile platform can actually help you with providing a communications suite that is mobile. It can also provide maritime domain awareness with its sensor packages. That is the beauty of buying a mobile platform, sir, rather than fixed infrastructures. You can move that to wherever you need to, and having a capable icebreaker
Point well taken.
get that
Thank you.
capability anywhere, sir.
Beyond the mobile, do we need fixed? And if so, what?
Right now, the Coast Guard strategy is mobile and seasonal because the human activity up there is very dynamic.
Ms. Stiller, is that the naval strategy? To depend upon the Coast Guard?
Sir, I'm an acquisition professional, but I will be happy to take that back and get you an answer
Please do.
from the
Thank
operational
you.
side. Yes, sir.
And for Mr. O'Rourke, Ms. Grover, thank you for your analysis. It's very helpful. I'd like to have your analysis on the communication and the domain awareness also. I'm well over my time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.